Hey everyone, we're back at the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm Go Local News editor Kate Nagel. Around the corner, we have Caroline Stevens to talk about the inaugural Doors Open RI Festival taking place this weekend. Just kicked off about ways to go behind the scenes at treasures across the city. Over 20 places this Saturday, September 23rd. So Caroline, I'd like to welcome you into the studio.
Hi.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, I'm going to have you here, put your right foot here, and we're going to tell folks all about this. We have, let's see, some flyers, but you can go online and check it out.
Definitely. So this is the Doors Open Rhode Island Festival. It's the first of its kind here in Rhode Island. It's a free citywide open house event featuring behind-the-scenes access to over 20 different places across Providence. Places that are normally closed to the public, we're making them open to the public for free.
Okay, so let's go down here. I've got a little bit of the list now. No tickets or reservations are needed.
No tickets or reservations. You just pick up an event guide. You can pick up the event guide. It was in the September issue of Providence Monthly, but you'll also find it at each participating site. Or look on our website, doorsopenri.org, for a list of all participating venues. You pick and choose where you want to go. You just show up. There might be lines at some places. If you don't like lines, just go on to the next place.
And did you just have a little preview? Were you in a dome?
Oh, I was, yes. So yesterday, one of our sites is the Beneficent Congregational Church, which if you're from Providence, you might know that church on Weybosset Street with the big green dome. It's a copper dome. During the festival, not only will you get to go inside of that really stunning church, but you'll actually also get to travel up inside of that dome and see all graffiti that's over 150 years old,
or
people, wrote their names into the dome, but also some really interesting architectural remnants too.
So let's talk a little bit. Let's back up because it's the inaugural festival.
Mm-hmm.
So sort of, how did this all come to fruition? Saying we really want to give the opportunity to folks who are maybe Providence residents, maybe tourists, to say these are really cool attractions and I can get the behind the scenes tour.
Yeah. Well, this came about in part. I used to do this in Chicago. So this festival is part of a worldwide movement of citywide open house events. There's well over 50 around the world. I used to manage Open House Chicago, which has grown into the largest in this country. Last year, they featured 200 sites and welcomed 100,000 visitors. So we're not going to be quite that big this year.
You never know. Maybe
so
we can get there.
That's where the idea came from. But I think, in my experience living here in Providence, you're just constantly walking through these streets and looking at beautiful buildings, but really seeing the city from, the perspective of going shuffling to and from home and work. And having access to the places in your community, really special access, I think changes your relationship to where you live. So we're doing this. Our motivation is really, our mission is to connect people to sites of architectural, cultural, and historical significance in an effort to both bridge communities and inspire new perspectives on our city.
So now, originally it was 20. It's up to over 24 now.
Yeah.
As I saw from the latest. So I'm just going to go through a few of them. Cranston Street Armory just got added. City Hall and the mayor's office. So you're going in the mayor's office.
Yeah. Yeah, the mayor's office is just open from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And all of the sites, the official hours are from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., but their individual sites have different hours.
So make sure you check online or check in your literature here. And tell us a little bit, what can folks expect when they go there? Is there sort of that doors open point person? So when they actually show up, what's going to happen?
So we've recruited 80 volunteers across the city, and that is in addition to all of the, I think that many still again, from the sites themselves. So there'll be somebody at the site to greet you, to welcome you. There'll be a big sign at the door saying, you are here, this is it. Mm-hmm. Go inside, there might be a short line, and then there'll be somebody there to bring that place to life, to activate it with either programming or interpretation. Our goal with each site is to create a little bit of magic.
A little bit of magic. Speaking of little, this is one of note for us here because we're right diagonal from the arcade. I do see that a micro unit inside the arcade is on the list. How many people tabletops can actually get
Well, so the way this also works is it is for the arcade that'll be open from I think 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Double check that in your event guide. But so for a good chunk of 5 hours. So, over the course of the day, you could get some hundreds of people through there. But in a micro unit, just a few at a time. So that might be one that gets a line.
They are small because they are such a fascination of people if they're in the arcade saying, "I wonder what they look like." Well, you can go and see what one of these micro units look like. And as you said, if you can't get in, there's things open in the arcade. There's a coffee shop.
Mm-hmm.
There's
and
plenty
other
to
sites
check around.
close by for
Yes.
sure. A lot of great sites.
Have you been at all 24 spots?
I have been to all 24 spots. Yeah.
So, where will you be on Saturday?
I am going to be running around the city. My goal is to hit each and every one, but I don't know if that's possible. I'll tell you later if it is. We'll see. But also just on my cell phone, I'm going to be getting calls from everybody, from site hosts and volunteers and troubleshooting problems and putting out fires.
Now, do you expect mostly folks from Providence to come, or do you think this is a tourist attraction? Or people, if they're getting wind of this, thinking they just might come into the city for it?
Definitely both. I mean, we're first and foremost interested in connecting people in Providence to this city or in Rhode Island to Providence, because I think that that's such an impactful way to experience where you live. But by all means, we would love to see people coming from near and far to this event. We will be tracking your zip codes, so we'll tell you just how far they came from. But hopefully from all over the world.
So when you go through the doors, they're going to say, "Kate, what's your zip code?"
Yeah, exactly,
Okay.
Definitely.
Just to keep tabs
At
and wanting to know
each
where.
and every site, yeah.
Now, you said you were in Chicago, and this is a worldwide phenomenon. Do you know did you say how many cities total to open doors?
By my
Doors
count,
open?
there's over 50, and they're usually called either Doors Open or Open House, but sometimes they're by other names as well, so then it's easy to lose count, frankly.
And again, the other cities, is it relegated to one weekend a year? Is this
It's
year?
always one weekend, usually.
This is one day. This is
And for
Saturday.
us, this is one day. I thought in our first year, just trying this out, that it would be good to concentrate the experience in just a day, so to really get that festival feeling.
Well, it sounds interesting. If you're traveling other places, you could see, where are there other doors open in other locations as well? So I've hit a couple of the places. Should we hit on some more? Let's see
please.
that's over here, what else we have. We talked about the Dome at the Beneficent Congressional Church, and you were there last night. Is that open on Saturday? Or is
That will be open on Saturday from 10
okay.
a.m. to 4 p.m.
A tour through New England's largest shipping container building.
Yeah. You might recognize that building if you're driving around Route 6. It's that big, we call it cargo texture. Apparently there's a word for that. But it's all these shipping containers in bright, brilliant colors that, makes you really curious as you drive by. But for this day, you'll be able to go inside of that building. All those shipping containers are arranged in kind of a funky fashion, so walking between them, and then even one empty shipping container you can go inside.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you drive by, you can't miss it, 'cause it's very, very colorful.
Yeah, it is.
Let's see here. The rarely seen military collections inside the Benefit Street Arsenal. So
Yes.
very behind the scenes.
Very behind the scenes. So the Benefit Street Arsenal, that is on Benefit Street. If you know where Den Den is, right across the street. It looks like a castle. This building was built in 1842. And, it is always closed to the public. It's kind of like a clubhouse for veterans. So if you're a vet, you might get invited in. But typically those doors are closed. But for this one day, they will be wide open to the public. They brought in some cannons for the event. That's down on the first, build drill hall. But then upstairs, there's a maze of military artifacts. It's really, and I'm not one that's especially excited about military history. It's not really my thing, but there's something really special about seeing the sentiment of each of these things being brought back from battles around the world, that dating back to the Civil War, and hearing General Valente and his friends telling you the stories about each one. They know the stories intimately. So it's a very special experience.
Fantastic. And I don't want to I put people on the spot sometimes. I mean, there's 24 places, and I'm not going to say, well, what is your favorite one? And then everyone's going to go there. But if there's a couple that you say, we haven't hit upon that folks should know about, what were the ones that you would say?
Oh my goodness. Well, there's also City Hall, so we talked a little bit about the mayor's office, but for that full day, you can also go up inside of the archives. And the archives are a place that actually you can go all the time, during the week, not during the weekend usually. But it's a really special place, seeing the treasures in the archives and all these, there's some funky things in there. So part of the idea of this is casting a light on things that you can have access to, but you wouldn't normally know. But right above the archives is the attic of City Hall. And so for just this one day, you'll be invited to go up inside of the attic of that building. And there's this giant vent that travels the whole length of the building, down to the City Hall Council, the council chambers, or whatever you call it. And so there's this giant vent, there's these huge flagpoles and boxes. I mean, it's kind of like being in the attic of your city. So that's really cool. Barnaby's Castle is another one that is going to be very popular with visitors. This is the big Victorian castle on Broadway, pink house. You might recognize the turrets and all of that. And this is the site where Mrs. Barnaby, Josephine, she died in the 1890s by drinking from a bottle of poisoned whiskey, and this was the first murder by mail in U.S. history. It didn't happen in that house, but there is quite the story connected to Barnaby's Castle, and it is a beautiful home in the process of restoration. So seeing the intricate woodwork and the wonderful textures and paintings throughout is a place not to be missed.
Oh, fantastic. Sounds like there's so many good places to check out. Again, I'm going to tell folks what the URL is. It is doorsopenri.org. Again, this Saturday. If you're looking for something to do, getting behind the scenes, it's going to be great. Go check it out online. I appreciate your coming through to walk us through.
Yeah.
Sounds like a great event. Hopefully
Thank you so much for having me.
with you. I'm sure it's going to be great this year, and then next year we'll see even more.
Yeah, I would love to be able to do this again. So come this year, and it'll be more likely that we can make it happen.
Okay, doors open at Ryan on Saturday. Caroline Stevens,
thank you so much.
Thank you for coming in. Can I keep these?
Please.
Okay, I'm going to keep these. Seeing what's going on this weekend here in Providence. Again, the behind-the-scenes look at some of the city's most unique buildings. Free, open to the public, don't need tickets, but make sure you go online. Some places are open at certain times through most of Saturday. Again, it is free, no reservations, but go check out some of the great attractions and offerings that the city has.